Welcome to Real Estate Agent Superstars. From groundbreaking strategies to personal stories of triumph, we're here to uncover the secrets behind the success of the real estate industry's elite. And now, here is your host, R.J. Baxter.
Our guest today on the show is Tiffany Canady from Real Broker. Her team is called the Homebound Team with her husband, and she's been in the business 11 years and brings a lot of great ideas to the business. That's why I wanted to have her on the show. And she's also had a lot of accomplishments in the business, like, for example, winning the Colorado Heart Award for the Southeast District. That goes to an agent that makes a difference in the community. So just a really awesome perspective on the business, and really happy to have you here, Tiffany. So thanks for joining us.
Oh, RJ, thank you so much for having me on and allowing me to share. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, absolutely. So 11 years in the business, that's some pretty good longevity. How did you get involved in the real estate business?
I think it started when I was very young. My father was a builder in Arizona, still is a custom home builder, but he pivoted into storage facilities and storage units. So I always grew up on some sort of construction site, or, whether that be housing or commercial. And I've always really enjoyed that process, watching the framing go up, taking a piece of land and watching it develop. Then really truly guiding people in their biggest investment most will ever make in their lifetime. And it's truly the American dream of home ownership. It provides wealth and security. And those are, big factors that I don't take for granted. So being a true guide to people is really what I enjoyed and what drew me in.
That's awesome. Did you have a different career before real estate, or did you just kind of, because it's...
Yeah, we did. I did a lot of marketing and insurance sales. So I always got underneath, got in the house, got my knees under their table and helped them navigate certain things to protect their biggest assets. And so I sold life insurance for a number of years and then went into digital marketing before it was a thing. Now you see it everywhere. You can't go through a billboard or some sort of screen yelling at you to buy their product. And so that really gave me a great insight on how to really build a real estate group and showcase properties. That's really what it's all about, is to give the people what they need. And at the end, you'll get what you want, right?
Totally. Have you continued to stay up with the times, and you still do a lot of digital marketing today?
Yeah, I think majority it's relationship business. So we've been very fortunate to have certain, niches. We call it riches in the niches, right? And so ours is our relationship business, and staying in with the people that already like, know, and trust us, and really harvesting those relationships, nurturing them through events. So yes, I mean, digital advertising, it's always going to be there. And I feel there's a lot of noise out there. So if you can meet people where they are and not leave them there, that's the true gift. And so that's more of a one-on-one. We do use video and digital advertising to help showcase that, but our primary group, they see it. I don't necessarily broadcast it all over the place. I did when I started, but I've kind of toned that back a little.
Well, why did you tone it back? Just out of curiosity.
That's a great question. It wasn't in alignment with where I was in the time and building a family. I felt kind of exposed, and I felt like maybe I wasn't the TikTok dancer, although I tried it. It just didn't align with who I was. Bummer, now I got to go in and do the things. But I do love to make people laugh, and I love to have a good time. Fun is my middle name. I just got to get out of my own way, I think maybe is the case there,
Gotcha. Speaking of the relationships, before we started recording this episode, you shared a great acronym with me, ABC.
Yeah.
That you guys in your business. Tell me more about that.
Yeah. We built our business on what we call as the ABCs of business, which is adding value, being resourceful, and creating a raving fan base. And so when you add value to people by sharing your resources, they in turn will create that raving fan base of the people that like, know, and trust and want to continue to do business with you.
So in what ways do you add value?
We add value through a number of different ways. We when we meet with someone, we're focused on solutions. Not everybody is a clear cut, fit in the red tape, fit in this box type deal. And so it's life, right? And there are a lot of nuances, and life comes every which direction. So, adding value by really hearing, acknowledging, people just really want to be heard. And sometimes they get so stuck in their situation that they can't see out of it. So that's where we help by listening, then focused on the solutions through our partners and the resources that we've been fortunate to forge throughout the years, and providing them with different options that maybe they didn't think of from the jump. And in turn, that does create the raving fan base. So whether that's home remodeling or investing, how to understand calculators and cap rates, the Burr method, whatever it may be, there is a lot out there, but sometimes it's too much. And so honing it in and creating a very simple plan that they can achieve is really the value that we bring, because they're like, I can go here and I can go there. The reality is, stay the course. You have this big map. You told me you're starting here and you want to get up here where there's a couple of stops along the way. Let's create some clarity around that, and communicate effectively on how we can get there without too much stress, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, because there is so much information out there. It can be overwhelming for people.
It is.
So,
Especially if you don't know what you don't know. And then you get in there and you're like, oh, I didn't even think about that. And so our goal is to ask better questions, because when you ask better questions, you get better answers. And that tends to help navigate that journey for them and really truly be the guide, so that the person can be the hero in their own life. I'm not going to be their hero. I'll be their guide.
mm-hmm. I don't know if you're using those terms in the sense of storytelling, but I've heard those terms used in storytelling.
I studied Donald Miller for a long time. And so, yeah, I mean, everything you craft, that's kind of where it goes. Let them be the hero, you be the guide.
Yep. And you bring them
Present
from
the
a place.
problem, give them, yeah. Works.
Yep. They're in despair, and then you pull them out as the hero and guide them to where they want to be.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, that's so good. And you're a huge Go Giver fan.
Yeah, I am.
Giver.
Yeah. If you haven't read it yet, I highly recommend go get the book, go listen to it, whatever it may be. It gives you a different perspective and awareness, how to stand out and be a strong leader.
Yeah, it's one of my top 5, I'd say, business books.
Yeah,
for sure.
Me too. Well, I think it's leading yourself. And, when you can lead yourself, you'll be able to step in rooms where you have the opportunity to lead others, dig in the trenches.
Definitely. And then you become that go-to resource for people.
Yeah. That's the highest honor for me, I think, is getting that call. And because they know I'm going to focus on the solution and give them the energy that they need to go forth and conquer whatever it is that they want, and just be a pillar that they can lean into.
Totally. Now, you did something really smart that you shared with me before we started also, where you and your husband created a course called the Cash Flow Couple.
Yes.
Tell me more about that. That is such a genius idea. Tell me how did you come up with that idea?
Well, we have been inspired by so many others that have paved the way, like Bigger Pockets and, different groups that are giving resources out there and adding value to people's lives. And there's a lot of changing happening in the real estate market in general from every which state. And it's really across the globe. And so we have been given phenomenal opportunities to build that muscle and, really understand how to invest properly. And we've learned through failing. I think we live in a world that glorifies a lot of successes. And the reality is we never got to that success without failing forward and learning in those moments. And so we thought, man, we've been working together, my husband and I, for 14 years and still married, happily communicating together. And most people aren't that fortunate to be able to have that layer of communication with their partner when it's something like a big investment. And so our goal as the Cash Flow Couple was to teach other couples how to talk about investing and then identify what investments make sense based on their budget. Again, providing the value and the resources to do so. So the cash flow couple, it's tailored to the person, to the couple. And that could be a business couple. It could be, a marriage couple, could be two friends that just don't know how to communicate what they want and how to get there. So it's as simple as you be a part of the community. Here's a playbook, run the plays, lean in, ask questions in the community. Our mentor, Pace Morby, he does it too on a very high level. So we have a playbook to the full concierge where you're one-stop shop for all things real estate, investing, understanding, navigating, remodeling, whatever it may be. And at that point, it's a higher price point. You got to pay to play, and we become your partner in it. But we'll go identify that property, and the goal is that it starts cash flowing right from the jump. Minimum, has to be at minimum 500, but we got that. There's so many variables in real estate that you just navigate that through the resources we help provide.
Okay, so cash flow couple is more of a process, or like the class is more of something that each client would go through with you. It's not something where you're standing in front of a group of people teaching it.
Not yet. That's the goal eventually. But yes, it's more of a community of like-minded people wanting to invest, just not understanding or having all the resources readily available to them.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So when's your book coming out?
Not soon enough.
I mean, that's be such a great book title.
Right? Slow couple.
Yeah. Do you specialize in investors then, or do you work with other types?
My husband has been working highly, in that realm, just really since COVID and all the changes. There's a lot out there, a lot of people moving and shaking and in dire need of help. And so not everybody can list their property, put a for sale sign up, in the yard and pray that it's going to sell. So we tend to get a little bit more creative and focus on those solutions where they may be, whether that's creative financing opportunities or novations that we've done in the past that we do at a pretty high level. But, our tried and true is still helping people identify properties, buying and selling. But I could say more of my lane is the creative sector.
Okay, interesting. So speaking of the Front Range market, are you guys finding deals out there right now? It's September of 2024 as we're recording this. How difficult is that in today's market?
It's not that difficult. You just have to do the work, and most people want it to be easy. And so it is a relationship business. There are properties that are distressed. There are families that are in despair, and they need help, but they don't know where to start. And so I've been very fortunate to partner with different nonprofits and sit on the board of HBA Cares, which is the philanthropic side of the Housing and Building Association for Colorado Springs. And in that, we help people with accessible and transitional housing. And so that has really opened my eyes to other areas of need. So yeah, there are properties out there currently that didn't understand what forbearance was, that needs to get a little bit creative, that haven't maybe recognized the home and the value that the home does offer them, and it needs repairs. So yeah, there are, but you have to hunt for sure. And the price point, the price point maybe isn't for everyone. So, we've also opened our doors to Alabama, Georgia, Florida. A lot is happening in Florida and Georgia, over on that side of the country. And those price points are definitely different.
Now, how do you help people that are looking in those states?
It is a community, it's a relationship business. And so I'm not licensed in those states. If it does require a license, then we connect them with licensed individuals. And sometimes it's meeting people where they are and helping make that connection. If somebody wants to buy a home and they want to sell it and they're going to figure out the terms, attorneys, each state works a little bit different. So we always want to make sure to dot our I's and cross our T's, but it is a community and it is based around relationships.
Okay. How do you vet people in other agents in other states? How do you make sure that they're
That's a
going
great question. We typically travel to those states. We're fortunate to be able to do that. We go, 5 deep in references. We ask, we're going to call these people. We want clients. We want other agents. As women, I think we have created a PhD in research. And so some people call it stalking, we call it research. Okay. And so at a very high level, things can be found. And so we go through that process too, but truly it's a community of like-minded people. When we join a mentorship program that they've already, is that everybody? No. And you're going to have bad apples and everything. But I think the biggest core is staying in communication and, asking really strong questions so you get the answers so you can connect people as a connector, really.
Mm-hmm. So you've got a trusted list that you've developed over time.
Yeah.
So if someone's looking in whatever, Savannah, Georgia, you've got to go to a person there.
Yeah, we have a great team over there. And I have a great tribe of women too that, I've been fortunate to connect with through different organizations or we call it the Empire Circle, Her Best Life. So my husband was the one who signed me up for all of those things because he knew that I needed to be in different rooms with high level thinkers. And so you get in those rooms and you start to figure out who your people are.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I can relate to that for sure. So you touched on something earlier, and this is one of the big things I wanted to talk to you about on the show is how you do a lot of novations. And I think that's a really fascinating area, but a lot of people may not even know what a novation is. So what is a novation?
Well, in real estate, it's basically I go in to a listing appointment, let's say, or I've been, honestly, most of the novations have come from other agents that are not able to sell the property. And so they reach out to me and my husband, and we'll go meet with them. And many times I call them right sizers. So our baby boomers that have been in the property for a number of years. The bones of the home are really solid, meaning they've taken great pride in their HVAC and their electric, the roof, everything like that. But it may be missing some cosmetic updates, flooring, countertops, cabinets, whatever it may be, fixtures, things like that. And right now, the consumers can't see past that. It becomes too much. Thanks to HGTV, they think, it's going to be easy when they realize that that price point can go up pretty high. And so we go in and meet with the sellers. And at that time, typically the agent that refers us, they may stay as the listing agent when we've done the remodeling. Most times they are extended a referral fee of 25 to 35%, pending their involvement of how it moves forward. So they're never kicked out of the deal. But the way it works is we go into a contract with the seller to purchase the property at X amount of dollars, knowing that we're going to come in and bring private money to renovate the property. And we bring the property up to what the market is requesting it be at. And then we relist it at the price point that it needs with all the new updates. And so once we go under contract, that's where the novation gets reassigned to the new buyer. And we typically, there's a couple of different ways to go about it, whether there's a deed, there could be too many different ways, a promissory note, a deed for trust. There could be a couple of different, but the way I've done it most is a contract that then gets assigned or changed into the new buyer's name. Mine is not necessarily canceled, because we will put a note on the property that we will be refunded whatever the money is that we agreed from the jump at closing. So at that point, the process is just as it normally would go. The seller's going to sign all the documents, whether through a notary or whatever it may be, to sell it to the new buyer. And we get reimbursed the costs that we put in. Typically, we factor in any type of private money loans and interest that would be accumulated during that time. And that is very transparent. And we don't hide anything to the consumer. They see it all and they mark off on all of it. We typically involve attorneys during this time, especially in Colorado. I'm not an attorney. And so I don't claim to be one. So we involved others to make sure that the consumer has full knowledge of what's going on and the repairs that are needed. For me as the listing agent, it does help because I get paid back. Sometimes if there's a independent contractor fee in there, I get that on top of the listing commission because, again, it's all disclosed. They know that that's what's happening. And our goal is to take that heavy lifting, that stress off of the seller and move forward. Many times if the seller is living in that property, we physically move them out of the property. We go to even putting their silverware where it needs to go. We'll pay the mortgage during that time to offset that cost. We may give them a little bit up front to get them set up on their new chapter. But it could be a 3 to 6 month process depending on where we are in the market and what's needed to be done in the home.
Okay. Interesting. So how does a novation differ from a fix and flip?
Well, so the seller still owns the property. It's still in their name during that time.
Okay.
And I'm not coming up with, let's just say $500,000 to purchase the property. I'm coming up with the amount of the rehab cost. So plus paying whatever the mortgage is. So that is what the caveat is there, is that it's less amount of money that has to be, upfront to them.
Okay.
In the end, if they were to sell it at 500 and we do the renovations and it's now worth 600 to 650, well, that's a win for them. They get to capture all the money on the table minus the rehab costs or, the holding costs, I should say, from paying the mortgage during that time, the utilities, whatever it may be.
Gotcha. So are you proactively out looking for novation opportunities, or does it more they present themselves because you're in this investor space?
Yeah, I'm all the yes to both. I'm proactively looking for those opportunities. And many times because homes are sitting longer on the market than they were just a couple of years ago or a couple of months ago, there's a sense of urgency. And people are experiencing pain, right? Pain moves people more so than pleasure, right? And so it's how much pain can they take? And then at that point, lean into the resource to help get them out of that pain and onto a path of the solution and pleasure.
Mm-hmm. Okay, makes sense.
Yeah.
How do you find these deals?
Really through prospecting, also calling agents. It's a relationship business, so they know when I'm calling, it's probably for a good reason. If I've seen the home sitting on there and I see that, okay, the flooring, the carpet, would you be willing to, explore other alternatives to help guide your clients through this time where it's a win-win for everyone?
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm. So sometimes they're online, sometimes they're not.
Okay.
It's people that have typically been in the home longer than 10 years. You can pull lists. There's phenomenal resources out there to really hone in on that.
Well, thank you again for taking the time to be on the show. I really appreciate you sharing all this knowledge for the listeners. And for those of you listening, if you love this episode, please share it with a friend that could benefit from Tiffany's wisdom, and be sure to subscribe so you can get notified of any future episodes that come out. So we appreciate you watching, and thanks again, Tiffany.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of Real Estate Agent Superstars. If you're looking to dive deeper into the world of real estate and catch more episodes, head over to our website at www.realestateagentsuperstars.com. Curious about today's guest? Explore our show notes on the website for more details. Before you go, don't forget to give us a 5-star rating and follow us on social media for the latest podcast updates. Thanks for tuning in.